Welcome to another episode of So It's Not Just Me, where we talk about how everyday happenings in our life affect our mental health and our journeys. Today, I'm very excited to announce that we are joined by Lincoln. Lincoln's going to come and talk to us about transitioning to a male. And I understand it is a very, very sensitive subject, and we're going to go really slow. But with that, Lincoln, please introduce yourself.
Hi, yeah, I'm Lincoln. I'm 35. Um, living obviously Doncaster in England. um, Pretty much. I don't know what else is there.
That's all I need. That's fine. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get straight into these questions and let's get the ball rolling. Let's get you a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah.
I know it's really nerve-wracking coming, especially talking to somebody that you don't know, and I do understand. So thank you first off for coming and talking with us today.
You're all right.
Can you share the moment when you realized that you wasn't right when you was previous? How would you like me to word this?
Um, I'm not sure to be honest, because I was thinking obviously when I was 12, 13. Obviously I was in secondary school. It was like I was thinking like, am I supposed to be a female that just likes girls, or am I actually in the wrong body and obviously supposed to be a male that is liking girls? So, but other stuff was going on at the time. Um, Obviously in family and school, so it was sort of impacting the way obviously I was thinking, and so I want getting to be able to like think it through thoroughly.
Right.
Um, so it happened out. I told obviously a few friends how I was thinking, but then obviously it got round school that I was gay. Um, so I sort of like just went with it. Even though I still got thoughts in back of my head that I might not be female, like I might be in the wrong body. Um, but then it got round to some people, like I say at school. I did silly told a teacher that I liked her.
Oh
And,
gosh.
yeah, and obviously that got back to my mum and dad. So obviously I didn't get the chance to fully come out to my mum and dad, and obviously
Right.
that I think that sort of like pressured me to actually, oh, I am supposed to be a woman that likes girls. Um, so there was obviously other things. Obviously I don't mind talking about it, but I don't know if you'd want me to say,
You
because obviously it's a different topic
you are
completely.
welcome. You are welcome to talk about absolutely anything. Like, this is your time. This is your space. Anything
um,
you would like to talk about is open.
like I said, there were obviously once that come out at school, there were bullying, but also I was being sexually abused by a family member at the
Right.
time. So also that was confusing me as well. So it sort of I just went with, oh, I'm a girl that likes girls, but from like I say, age 12, 13, that's still been it back in my head that I should be a boy, I should be a man.
Right.
Um, Obviously, this last few years, um, because it's been about a year and 6 months, I've not spoken to any of my family. Um, and that's sort of like I've been able to sit back and realize, no, this is who I am. I'm
Yeah.
Lincoln. I'm not that girl. I'm supposed to be a man. Um, because the people that birthed me weren't very supportive of it. Obviously, there were other things going on that is one of the reasons why I couldn't put contact with them. Um, but there is like literally, I don't speak to any of my family. Um, Not even like birth parents.
Right.
Um, it's basically just my wife Emma and obviously her mum and dad. Luckily, they live close.
Oh, that's good. If we
um,
just so I'm gonna just jump back a little bit, and I'm
yeah,
gonna try and go through a few steps quite slow, just so that we can um, get as much information out there. So, when you first was outed as such as being gay rather than being male, um, how did how did your family find that? Did they take were they supportive with that? Like family
um,
and friends. I don't want to just single out family.
yeah. Most people were supportive. My family were because we did have other people in family that was of the LGBTQ plus community, but it was mainly like the L part. The women, like there was a it's a woman couple that we knew, so they've not really probably had that where like the thing of there's someone in family that's trans. So, but one of my birth parents were like, why would? Because I did bring it up with them before, obviously we stopped speaking, and they was like, why would you want to be a man when you don't like men because of obviously what happened when I was younger.
Yeah.
Um, but it's not the fact I don't like men, it's just the fact that I am a bit wary. I know obviously not every
Yeah.
man we're not the same, but
Oh,
it
no, I
just
understand that.
sort of when you've been through it, you sort of but um so yeah, and also the thought I was just going along with the trend of oh I
Yeah.
don't know if I'm trans or non-binary. Or, so, and I'm like, I'm not going with trend. It's not a fashion sense. Being part of that community, it's you are who you are. So,
I think that there was quite a period where it just seemed like quite a lot of people suddenly came out as trans, and I agree with you completely. It's not a trend. I think it was just that people were brave. People
yeah,
saw, um, I know that the first one that comes into my head is always going to be Laverne Cox and Caitlyn Jenner, and I think around that time is when it became more more known, I guess, and I'm sure there's been hundreds of them before then, they're just the 2 that come straight into my head, and I think that was the time when people started saying, "Well, if these celebrities can do it, then it's safe for me to do it as well."
definitely. And I think there's as well not the pressure. Like if you don't end up speaking with your family because they're quite toxic, you do then get even more confident and
Yeah,
easier to be who you are. And this last year and a bit, it's I've been able to be who I want, um, and no one's sort of judged or been horrible about it.
yeah,
Um, Obviously, people do some that have known me for all my life, like family friends. I still speak to some of them. Obviously, they sometimes misgender me or dead name me, but it's because they've known me for that
so
long.
long.
It is obviously hard for them, and I understand that. I said, like, at least they're trying. I know they do sometimes call me Lincoln and use he, him, but sometimes they don't. But I get that they're trying. It's people that know who I am and deliberately misgender me or dead name me. And again, that's one of the reasons why I don't speak to family as well. So
So I told you this briefly when we was chatting before we decided to do the well, in the lead up to the podcast. I knew that I'd recognized you, and I knew that I somewhat knew you. but I couldn't think when. Then it turned out it was from, your sister's wedding when I did the photography there.
yeah.
So, back then you were still female, or living as a female. Um, how how difficult did you find it to start telling people? Or did you not? Did you just, "This is me, this is what I am"?
I sort of, after obviously I'd spoken about it to my birth parents, and one of them was sort of like I said, "Are you going with thing at moment?"
Right,
It was sort of then I thought, why should I tell everyone individually that are close to me? Um, I literally just said, "Look, this is who I am. You either like it or you can,
lump it.
yeah, sort of thing." But everyone that's close to me, like my friends and obviously Emma, my wife, and her parents have absolutely been fantastic. So
How long did you know Emma before you
we've been together nearly 6 years,
right,
um, and then obviously married just over one. But it was sort of roughly the time a bit before and a bit after that I was speaking about it when we got married last June.
right,
When I was saying to her, like having the discussion of, I think I'm in wrong body. I think this is who I'm supposed to be. This is who I want to be. And then we just sort of went from there. Went obviously doctors, got on waiting list, but that's about 5 6 years just for first
right.
appointment.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Was, was she surprised? Or was she in shock or anything when you decided to tell her?
A little bit, but to be honest, she's not that fussed because she was with men before.
Right.
So she says like, "I love you no matter who you want to be."
Yeah.
So she's fully supportive.
That's really good to find someone who is so supportive. That's really good. Um, and you must be so brave because and as you've experienced from the sounds, putting yourself out there and then getting a sort of rejection, I guess, from family and friends, um, who don't understand or just don't agree. It's so, so brave of you to be able to do that and have the courage, and that has to be applauded. I don't know many people would be able to do that if that's how they felt, even coming out just as gay. So you really do need to be applauded for that.
Thank you.
Um, I don't want to sound like I'm going here, there, and everywhere, so do apologize. Um, how was you kind of like when you decided to start living as a man? How did that affect you emotionally and mentally?
Think
Or what was like the biggest challenge that you had to deal with, like in yourself more than like everyday life?
um, I think it's the thing that I don't like my body.
Right.
Obviously I'm quite a biggish person. Obviously I've got a big top half, and it's that that sort of everyone in like public assume that obviously I'm female, but obviously I understand obviously then they're gonna not gonna think, oh, that's a man with just a big top, but
Yeah.
I know it's that that sort of, I don't know, it knocks me back a little bit thinking, oh, I'm not presentable at the minute as
Yeah.
being able to be presentable as male to other people. Um, so that's the hard bit sort of thing is like the top bit. Like I don't like. I do have a lanyard that has a he/him badge on
Okay.
when I go out, but not everyone's gonna sort of look straight away at badges you've got. sort of
Yeah.
thing. So it's only small, so it's like, but
It's one of those things, I guess, that you don't want to be drawing attention to it, but at the same time, you want some attention to it so that you're not
yeah,
misguided.
yeah, because if we just pop into a shop down near us, um, with me and Emma go in and they'll be like, "Oh, all right, ladies," and it's just sort of like it's like
Yeah.
thinging. So it's like I have sort of mentioned it, saying, "Oh, I'm trans," but I know obviously you've known me since I've moved here, which is like 6 years. So just we get talking to shopkeepers all the time on the street. So it's like, but I know it's hard for well everyone, and I understand some people that have known me for so many years are going to struggle with remembering.
Yeah.
Um, that's why I like the name Lincoln, but I think in back of my head as well, I've kept it obviously as L, same initial as my dead name. So it's like, but I do like the name Lincoln. So I
It's
think I've
very
sort of
similar,
yeah. So I've
like, syllable-wise and, like, the ending is similar.
yeah. So I've sort of I've done it for myself the name, but I think part of me as well has sort of thought of others because most of the time I think others anyway when I'm like I put everyone else's needs and
Yeah.
caring before my own. So
Which I think
it's
that's something that I do as well, but then there does come a time, and I can tell you from from experience, there comes a time where you think, "Oh my god, I need to think about myself," and as much as you're trying to protect and look after everyone else, if you don't look after your mental health and your emotions, you're gonna be no good to anyone because 'cause you're gonna burn out and, you
yeah,
know, that it's exhausting. Um,
definitely.
Obviously the shopkeepers, we all know what Yorkshire shopkeepers are like, they know everyone, they know all the gossip, they know if you're out and about somewhere and it's not somebody that's known you all your life or 6 years or a few years, um, how do you handle being misgendered if it's someone that you've never met?
um, some of the time, depending what mood I'm in, I will sort of say, I know like you're not being rude, but man, he, him. Um, it's just because sometimes when you eat supermarket, someone's like, "Oh, excuse me, miss," or and it's like sort of sometimes I want to be a bit harsher, but then I think, "Oh no," because
Yeah,
they don't know me, and obviously they're not going to go around asking everyone, "Oh, what's your pronouns?" sort of thing. I know it is quite popular at the minute if you have like therapy or doctors, they like to know what your pronouns and preferred name are. Um, but it's obviously something that people don't practice while they're out. It's
yeah.
like I don't think I'd want to go up to someone and say, "Oh, what's your pronouns?" They'd probably look at me
Yeah.
weird. So,
I think
but then
it is respect as well, you know,
yeah,
what name would you like me to call you? And like I said to you, in the messages that we've been sending and, before we started recording, I don't know much about the trans community. I'm not a part of it. I don't really know anyone who's in it, and I think that it's important that I learn. Um, just because I don't want to upset or offend anyone, and I truly believe that we live in a world where everyone can get on, and everyone isn't as long as we're nice people, then everyone can get on with each other. Um, and I think that education's really important on subjects that we don't understand. Um, and the trans community is something that I think could be understood better. So, you know, the doctors and the therapists asking you what name would you like to go by and things like that. I think that's very important.
yeah, definitely. And because I know obviously my doctors, obviously I've had to, so I've changed my name by default anyway. Um, but um, obviously on my doctor's medical records, I'm still down as female
Right.
because they can't change it until I can get a gender, I think a gender certificate, or that's it, gender recognition certificate, because you've
Right.
got to be living as that gender for I think 2 years,
Right.
um, and then you can take that to your doctors, but then you get a whole new NHS number. So, because obviously
Right.
you're a new, because
A new
at the
person.
minute I'm just down as female, but Mr. Lincoln Higgins, and it does say in my notes, which doctor apologised for because they have to put it as sort of not a problem, but something that's a ongoing
Like a flagged
treat,
issue.
yeah, treatment putting transgender man, because obviously it's not up to date yet where you can click things on it, she said, the doctor. So it's like they have to put it as a minor
Right.
problem. So, like,
And I guess
just
it's
explain that.
um I guess that for a little while at least, they're gonna have to keep you down as female for general female tests that you'd need doing, like for female organs, um, just to make sure that you're still healthy and that everything's okay.
Yeah, they have to, because the doctor said that obviously I'll still get letters through, but it won't be through, because some come through NHS app, but
Right.
and some will just come through letters, but that's also flagged up on my thing that they need to keep on top of them, because
Oh, that's
obviously
good.
um women being male, but obviously still saying female on my medical records, because I've literally only just this past week got a letter to have a smear, so that's a bit gonna be a bit. So I'm debating. I know I should go for it, but it's sort of because of how I feel and how
Yeah.
I sort of won't be comfortable like having that. But I don't know. I suppose I'm gonna have to go for it because obviously I've still got the parts at the minute.
I think that, things like that are super important, so you should definitely be going for it, but I also understand nobody feels comfortable going for that, don't worry. I'm gonna overshare a little bit right now, but, I have to go for the kind of thing quite often with me going through fertility treatment right now, smear-wise. We call them pap smears over here. Um, but I have to have them so often that I get embarrassed, so when I go, and I have to have them, like, every 2 weeks. So, yeah, it's not fun. But that's a whole different thing. Um, did you have so, obviously, you said you're 35 now, right?
Yeah,
Um, and you was about 14, 13, 14 when
12,
12,
12,
13,
13,
14
yeah,
kind of yeah. So, that's like 20 years before knowing. That's really tough.
yeah.
Did
I've
you,
literally gone 20 years, but it's still
yeah,
been a thought. Um, but it it's probably because of the family dynamic and how they
yeah.
was that I didn't sort of feel like I could. Um, and it's like they always say, "Oh, there's no such thing as middle child syndrome," but for me, I think there is. So that's. But
I think it's how
if
people feel. I'm hoping that there's no such
yeah,
thing as middle child. I'm eldest, but I'm hoping there's no such thing, but I do understand that, there's the first, there's the last, and then there's whoever's in the middle.
yeah.
So I do get it.
So
Did
it's
you
it
ever,
is tough. It was, but I felt like I've sort of better this last year and a half, sort of free since I'm not even speaking to my family. And I know,
like a weight's been lifted?
yeah, and I know people will be like, "Oh, that's your family," but they've not lived in my shoes for 30 odd years with that family. Um,
Yes. Now, I I obviously know your sister.
yeah,
Um, I've not spoken to her for a little while, good few years. I never had any issues with your sister. I thought she was great, but that's we don't need to talk about that. Um, what was I going to say? Um, I've completely lost my train of thought.
I do that quite often.
Oh no, I got it. It's back. It's okay. It's back. Um, I truly believe, and again, I do know your sister. I have no issues with your sister. I thought she's a wonderful person. She's never done any harm to me. Um, but I do believe that just because they're family doesn't mean that that means you can't have your own feelings and you can't have your own emotions about it. And if one of them upsets you, just because they're family doesn't mean you have to put up with it. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Um, I know personally there's family members that not in my family, um, that like in past relationships, just because they're family doesn't mean I have to have respect for them. I can appreciate their opinions, but that's what they are. They're their opinions, not mine. And that's how I kind of separate things. Again, I believe we live in a world where if we all understand, we can all get on. If we don't understand, that's fine. It's your opinion. Keep it to yourself. You don't need to upset me about it.
yeah,
And I kind of think that that's how, if your family wants some sort of relationship with you and they want you in their life, then, they might not understand, but learn, listen, talk to you and get educated. But I'm not in their shoes. So that would just be, and again, I don't know if I'd ever be in their shoes. If I am, I'd hope that's the perspective I have. Um, but to me, that's how I would feel. With obviously it only been the last few years that you've started living as a man, did you have any role models that you've looked up to or anyone that's kind of helped you?
um, to be honest, I don't know many trans people myself. I think there's only one who I used to work with at KFC like quite a few years ago, um, and he came out um, quite a few years before I've come out, and he's from sometime last year he started testosterone,
Right.
um, and I've not. I think I spoke to him a couple of times 'cause he lives in Lincoln, so but he's got his girlfriend, and they had a baby last year. So
Nice.
he's I think he's been put on a surgery waiting list as well. So he's just got to find himself a surgeon, and then he'll be able to have his top surgery done. Um, so and obviously I messaged him saying, "Oh, good luck and thanks and that," and obviously he messages me, so it's like he's really the only person I sort of know personally. Um, and obviously he is younger than me. I'm not sure if he's 5 or 6 years younger. I think he's still in his 20s.
Right.
But other than that, there's no one really.
It's difficult. It's definitely difficult. Like a niche area, I guess, of support there. Um, how I'm just trying to get my words right. Have you felt any or encountered any discrimination?
Not that I can think of now.
That's
Not
good. That's
uh,
really good.
well, I've only um Not to be only thing is some people obviously misgendering me, but obviously
Yeah,
that's from people that don't know me, like strangers. But I've not had no happened like any horrible words or remarks from
good.
anyone. 'Cause I know there is a lot out there that do,
Yeah.
and thankfully, fingers crossed, I'm lucky enough to not get anything.
Other than, obviously the weight being lifted, or maybe that's the answer, I guess. What has been the most rewarding part of starting to live as yourself and how you see yourself?
I'm say probably just that I have actually been able to be free and not have the stress and opinions and thoughts of everyone else that, oh, you've got to be this, you've got to be that, um, sort of remarks that, oh, my kids, I gave birth to a girl, so it's like, you'll always be a girl. So it's like I've managed to get past the bit and free from family that have said that to just living like to be me.
Yeah,
Um, and like I say, it is definitely a weight off my shoulder to actually live and be me. Because like every time people do get my name right, it's sort of lights a little light inside me because it's like, oh, someone that's accepting me, and
yeah. Is it like a
so
butterfly feeling, like a little happy
yeah,
feeling? Yeah.
yeah, that
Mhm.
someone's actually sort of accepting me and is making the effort of saying my name that I want to be,
Yeah,
and that because it's like my best friend kid is 9 now, but even of it years because I've known her since she was born. So obviously I've known a kid since he was born, but because obviously how short I had my hair, he always thought I was a boy anyway. Like
right.
he'd always say, when's he coming over or how long's he stopping for when I'm there. So it well I sort of it's like people sort of must like I don't know, it must have known before I managed to actually come out myself and say, "Oh, maybe I should do it now because it's like I'm free of everyone, like for me to be myself."
Mhm.
Um, and even like he corrects everyone. If
Oh,
someone's
that's good.
yeah, he's like 'cause sometimes my friends think it messes up. Um, this is only like very often she's sort of got it on. Um, but he'll be like, "Mum, it's Lincoln. It's not." Obviously, says my name, so he's like, "It's Lincoln." So even he gets it
Don't you
right
find
and
that
corrects
with,
people.
that's really good. But don't you find that with things like this, kids are so adaptable. Like, they can change so easily, um, and it doesn't really affect them too much. Like, it's easy for them to just because they know no different to it not
Yeah,
being normal or whatever the stereotypical word is for it. But kids are so resilient as well, and they can learn, and it's like they're more open to learning. I don't know whether it's the creative mind that they have or what, but they're very good
yeah,
at that.
definitely. And um a niece, but she'll be I think 10 next year. Obviously because of all the stuff that's happened, obviously I've not got to see her for the last 5 years. So when she were 4 when we last saw her, and whenever she'd come over, she'd always say, "Oh, I'm going up to see Uncle Lauren," and obviously I'd always laugh at that. And then it's sort of like I don't know, it's like kids have realised before,
Yeah.
so it's
I
sort
think
of
they're
like
smarter than we give them credit for.
yeah, So,
Yeah. Um, okay, I have 2 last questions for you, then I'm gonna let you go. Um, what are your hopes and goals for the future for both yourself and the trans community?
well, obviously surgery, and to be able
Mm,
to be taking testosterone, um, because I'm wanting the full surgery. Because I know there's some trans men that only like feel comfortable getting top and
yeah,
having the hysterectomy, um, but some don't want the bottom. Um, Obviously, it's everyone's different, but obviously, I want full top hysterectomy, bottom surgery, um, and then for everyone else in community, basically, just for them to be loved and accepted and be able to get treatment.
yeah.
And
I have a side question, I'm sorry.
yeah,
For for the surgery, you said it's a 5-year waiting list. Is that because there's just not enough doctors to do it, or is it to give you make sure that you're 100% on board of it, or, like, could you go private and get it sooner?
well, I know I think the 5 year to 6 year is just for the first appointment at the gender
Oh,
clinic.
right.
Yeah, because it's my doctor that referred me to gender clinic, and then you have to wait years for the first appointment, and then I think from there is when they give you counselling and other things to make sure that it is what you want, and then they start you, I think, on testosterone, but I think you also have to be sort of a certain weight. Just
Right.
my doctor, but she said that for me to try and see if I can lose a bit of weight, which I'm wanting to anyway.
Yeah.
Um, but she said that your BMI has to be a certain thing, obviously, for you to take the testosterone,
Yeah.
which obviously I get anyway, like, because I get that you have to be a bit thin, well, not thinner, but a bit le- less weight on me.
For
Um,
you to
and
have
and
any sort of
then
surgery,
yeah, and then I think after all that and start taking testosterone, then I think it'll be top surgery. So even though it's 5, 6 years waiting for first appointment, it could then still be another couple of years, I think, till
That's terrible, like, you've gone 20 years with your head all over the place, and then you're gonna have to wait, what, another 6 to 10 years before you can even be living the
yeah.
life that you meant to. That's crazy. That is absolutely
It's,
bonkers.
I've sort of given myself that I think that maybe with everything, like all the surgery and everything, that I'll be probably hitting about 50. What's
Jeez.
That's what I've got in my head, that I think that's where I'll be when I'm actually the outside will match the inside.
That is brutal.
So,
That's like
because
the majority of your life.
yeah, if I'd have gone if I'd have saved up and gone private for anything, I would have to do everything private. You
Right,
can't
okay.
you can't do one thing private while you're waiting on NHS, because then NHS, they won't see you.
Right.
They've said, like, if you go private, you have to do everything private, and I just don't want that kind of money because it is quite a lot.
I think even
For
if you had that kind of money, it'd still be the same amount of time. By the time, you've done the first bit, you've saved more, you've done the
Yeah,
next bit, saved more. Yeah.
um, we're only on benefits because I care for Emma, so
Right, right.
it'll be 50
Um,
time I got money.
you never know, you might find some might have a winning lottery ticket.
It is open.
Yeah. My final question for you before I do let you go. Do you have any advice or any final thoughts that you'd like to share before I do let you go?
For it, advice, is to people is probably, I don't know, just be kind, even if they're not the people that talking to or whatever isn't part of. community, just be kind. It doesn't cost much to be kind to everyone.
Yes.
Like if they were everyone being kind to each other, there'd be like no war, no riots, there'd be nothing. So it's like I don't get why everyone just can't be kind to each other.
You know the saying, I think it was definitely when Caroline Flack passed away, "In a world when you can be anything, be kind."
Yeah,
And I think that's something we should all live by. You can be absolutely anything you want in this world. Be kind.
yeah. Because you don't know, you might be harsh to someone, and that could be like you could be the last person that they speak to.
Yeah.
So you don't know what's going through people's minds. Me myself have tried in 2018, so it's there's always something going off with people. You don't know just because they're smiling, don't mean
Yeah.
that they're okay.
Yeah.
So you need to. Everyone just needs to be kind to each other. World would be a better place.
Yes, for sure. I think that's a great way to end the episode as well. Um, Thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you for
Um,
having me.
you're welcome. If we can find, well, I am going to go online shortly. I'm going to get loads of resources. Anyone who needs help, please, please reach out. I'll try and get you in the best direction possible. And if there's anything at all that we can do, please let us know. But until next time, thank you very much.